Disney movies have a special place in the heart of fans and families. It's too bad that so many of their films are filled with lies. Historical inaccuracies, animal facts, and scientific data are just a few of the things that Disney has so wrong. Did your favorite Disney movie make this list? Check out our awesome video, but before you do that, click subscribe. You'll join our notification squad and be the first to know of any new content.
You're doing great.
Can you guess which movie is represented by these emojis? Stay tuned to the end to find out.
Will you quit it?
What?
Trying to swim here. What, the ocean isn't big enough for you or something like that?
Huh?
You got a problem, buddy? Huh?
Finding Dory. The film Finding Nemo is a Disney Pixar classic that dates back to 2003. Dory, a blue tangfish with short-term memory loss, stole a lot of the scenes and became the focal point for the ambitious sequel in 2016. Finding Dory returns to a lot of the same comedic and family roots as the original tale, but the filmmakers took a lot of liberties with the aquatic tale. Breaking down these elements can reveal just how many wrong facts that children are getting from the film. The water elements are filled with a lot of falsehoods, as the majority of the film takes place at an aquarium and rescue facility known as the Marine Life Institutet. Dory and her sea animal friends hop in cups, mop buckets, and coffee pots, but they are all saltwater animals. When's the last time you had coffee served with salt water? The fish would have a tough time surviving these elements and living in all different types of water. The aquariums themselves are also set up with interconnecting pipes that Dory can easily navigate. This is something that no aquarium would do because it could create possible contamination in all of the water tanks. Keeping the tanks separate is the best way to prevent disease and other issues. The character of Hank also represents another falsehood. He has lived for years with only 7 tentacles, but octopi have the ability to regenerate any arms they have lost. This condition was added to Hank to make it easier for animators to craft the character. Brave. In Brave, Merida lives in medieval Scotland where she uses her archery skills to impress other villagers and showcase how she can be a leader. But children shouldn't look to the tale as they plan their next history paper. The setting, time period, and costumes are all a mishmash of Scotland history. The filmmakers of Brave have self-admittingly created a fictional version of Scotland that features a mix of their favorite cultural features. For history buffs, this includes a number of frustrating things that can take you out of the story. One of the biggest falsehoods in this creation is the presence of kilts. The film takes place around the 9th century. Kilts were not introduced and worn until hundreds of years after the time when this movie took place at. Other small inaccuracies can also be found in the film. The family enjoys a feast that includes potatoes, but those were not introduced in the Scotland area until well into the 16th century. The landscapes and visual designs were inspired by real pictures of Scotland, but all of the animals may not be so accurate. One example comes with a hawk that the character of Harris has. The hawk is native to the Americas and could not have been in Scotland during this era. A number of the horse designs used in the film are based off more modern breeds that would not have existed during these eras. The Princess and the Frog. It took multiple decades for Disney to introduce an African-American princess, and when they finally did, it was surrounded with a lot of controversy. The Princess and the Frog has a lot of classic Disney elements in it, but the film also had lots of outrage for the way it portrayed life in New Orleans during the 1920s. The film would have you believe that life between African Americans and Caucasians was more friendly and happy than it really was. The truth is that many events that occurred in the film would have been impossible or even illegal back in the 20s. One of the biggest no-nos from the time was the idea of interracial marriage. The prince in the film does not actually mention his race, but many viewers have pointed out that the charismatic Naveen is definitely not African American. This not only would have been looked down upon in the region, but the whole marriage itself would have been illegal. Aside from the whole marriage thing, the Disney animation ignores all of the Jim Crow laws from the time. These laws segregated the African American communities from the white communities, but none of this was presented in the film. The illusion may give small children the idea that the 1920s New Orleans was a happy-go-lucky jazz-playing city filled with promise and hope. The reality is a little more darker than this, but at least The Princess and the Frog gives parents a chance to have an open dialogue with their children.
Anyway, enjoy your loneliness, my friend. Abinaza.
The Good Dinosaur. The Good Dinosaur starts out with a simple premise. What if the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs never actually hit the Earth? It's too bad that the premise isn't that simple. Scientists can never truly know what killed off all the dinosaurs, but the giant asteroid that crashed into Mexico is only one factor that could have killed them all off. Volcanic gas from active eruptions all over the world are another reason that the dinosaurs may have gone extinct. Maybe it's the far-fetched premise that turned audiences away. The Good Dinosaur has some of the worst reviews for a Pixar film and has poor box office receipts to match it. Doing a story with dinosaurs is complicated enough, but this film went through many rewrites and new stories before choosing the one that went to the big screen. Maybe if they started with realistic facts in the first place, the story could have had a stronger premise. The film becomes very distracting when it ignores the evolution of other mammals, any type of industrial revolution, and uses cheap tactics to try and draw emotions from viewers. A movie like Zootopia offers better viewing because audiences go into it knowing that the world is fictional. The Good Dinosaur tries too hard to be a realistic what-if story that doesn't make much sense and gives viewers false facts about how dinosaurs were rendered extinct from our planet.
Oh, what about the time with the dinosaur?
Oh, that's the one.
Inside Out. The human brain is something that has been studied for numerous years, and scientists still don't know everything about it. This is especially true for the developing brain in a young adolescent. That's why it's pretty easy to point out the falsehoods found in the Disney and Pixar film Inside Out. The movie follows the story of a young girl and the 5 emotions that live in her brain. Joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust are all characters representing true emotions of a child. There are 2 extra emotions that the film was missing: surprise and contempt. Adding them in would make the movie really crowded, but they came close to representing a true emotional core. While that problem may be minimal, the film did struggle to convey how the human brain works when it comes to expressing emotions and different feelings. The characters in Riley's head are seemingly in control of her feelings and actions based on what they do. In reality, a person has more control over their emotions than the movie portrays. We can use these emotions to choose the actions that we take. This includes acting out on our emotions, keeping them in, or doing things to change them. Sorry kids, there isn't a little joy running around your head controlling your actions. It's up to you to use your joyful feelings in whatever way you choose. Another problem. The worlds filled with memories and special islands used to form personalities is not as accurate as it seems. While memories can shape a personality, it is controlled by a variety of characteristics that are not directly related to all memories. Cars 2. Cars 2 is not only one of the more disappointing Disney sequels, but it was a weak entry in the Pixar universe overall. The movie completely ditches the ideals of the original and sends the characters around the world on nonsensical spy missions. As Lightning McQueen and Tow Mater travel around the world, they visit many real-world locations. To help fit into the plot, many elements were changed from the actual locations. For example, one key race scene in the movie showcases the infamous Admiralty Arch building in London that vehicles can drive under. There are 3 arches at the bottom of the building that cars zoom through in the animation. In real life, only 2 of those arches are open for driving. The center one is left closed and only accessed for emergencies or special events. Speaking of London, the Union Jack flag displayed at multiple races has been animated wrong. In Cars 2, the flag features all of the white stripes in the same width and style. On the real Union Jack, the stripes are different widths to help accommodate the red stripes that go between them. Don't use the film's information for any geography quizzes.
This is going nowhere fast. We really should go, Grandmother.
One moment. I'd like to see where this is going.
Current event history isn't their strong suit either. During the end credit scene of the film, a newspaper depicts Mater getting knighted by the Queen. Oddly, the newspaper reads Tuesday, July 15th, 2011. That day in history was actually a Friday. This is a strange error that could have easily been fixed.
What? I thought Fox... Get off the runway!
Disney's Planes. At first glance, the Disney animated film Planes looked like a blatant ripoff of Cars. Despite the similar themes, Planes is actually a pretty original movie that made over $250 million at the box office. That doesn't mean that the movie isn't without fault. The story of Planes alone is a typical underdog tale, but it showcases a lot of unrealistic flying elements. The main character of the story is a crop duster named Dusty. He dreams of being a successful racing plane, but the truth is that no matter how many upgrades you add to a crop duster, it would never be able to compete against all of the other racing planes.
Oh, great.
Not only is Dusty's heroic win nearly impossible, but the races themselves could not be held the way they are in the film. The planes easily fly over entire oceans on just a single gallon of gas. If planes represented true life, then poor Dusty would be hanging out at some type of crash landing with the legendary lost female pilot, Amelia Earhart. Late in the film, Dusty suffers a terrible crash into the ocean water. It doesn't take long for him to re-enter the race, but in real life, that plane would have seen its last flight into the skies. The saltwater, pressure, and impact damage would have prevented Dusty from flying ever again, or any type of sequel from getting made. Big Hero 6. The futuristic superhero film Big Hero 6 takes us into a fictional world filled with cities inspired by modern metropolises. The central focus of the film is Baymax, a healthcare robot created by one of the characters.
Whoa.
Throughout the course of the movie, Baymax delivers health diagnoses and uses his medical knowledge to help a lot of different characters. He is programmed with more than 10,000 different health ailments. The design of Baymax was so impressive that IBM is creating something similar known as Watson Health. The only problem? Baymax may need to brush up on his health skills.
Always wait 1 hour after eating before swimming.
While many children have heard this same health advice while growing up, it's just not true. You will not get cramps or any other stomach pains if you eat and go swimming right after. Baymax simply gave bad advice and spread an old wives' tale that parents have been telling their children for years. The original story that this was based off of was a small article published way back in 1908. Considering that Big Hero 6 is set in the future, you would think that the filmmakers would have done a little extra research before using a line like that. Moana. One of Disney's more recent hits was Moana. The musical is a beautifully animated tale that follows the story of a young girl named Moana who feels inspired to travel the seas and help discover new lands for her tribe. The movie is inspiring, features great music, and the water animation is some of the best ever seen in a Disney film. During production of the movie, Disney went out of their way to try and showcase authentic views of the culture found in Polynesian culture. Despite so much research, there were many things wrong with this film. The character of Maui is showcased as a solo demigod that has a lot of powers. In the traditional story of Maui, he was accompanied by a goddess named Hina. Hina is actually the one who gave Maui all of his powers, but she is not even mentioned in the film. Maui gets all of the credit when he should have been accompanied by Hina for the epic adventure.
I see a strong, confident, beautiful young lady. Oh, look, you're here too.
Tangled. What could go wrong with a classic fairy tale about an entrapped girl that has magically long hair? Well, a lot of things, actually.
They just can't get my nose right.
The updated tale of Rapunzel actually has a lot of entertaining moments despite some of its glaring mistakes. One of the biggest mistakes comes early in the movie. As Rapunzel hangs out in her tower/prison, she uses a match to light some candles. While the quick scene would mostly go unnoticed by viewers, someone with keen eyes picked up on the fact that quick strike matches were not invented until the year of 1805. The creators of Tangled have claimed that the story takes place around the year 1780. Either she has some type of special time machine or the creators just got lazy with the details. The fashion of 1780 is also a lot different than it is represented in the film. For Rapunzel's scenes at the end of the movie, the Disney princess should be wearing some more traditional clothing than she is. Her clothing is a little too casual and more modern than the times represent. The same goes for other characters that roam around the village at the end of the movie. Using realistic costumes may have lost some of the fun touch, but could have represented true fabrics and designs of the times. Which movies do you feel like had the biggest lies? Do any of them ruin the movie for you? And should Disney present more truthful versions for their films? Are there any huge Disney mistakes that we missed? What modern Disney or Pixar film is still your favorite? Don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe to Screen Rant on YouTube so you can stay up to date with our awesome videos.